Nice! Boom, baby!
I was a pretty new Christian, and I had this amazing opportunity to, ask Howard Hendricks. He was one of my heroes and mentors, and I got to ask him, anything I could ask, anything he wanted to ask. And so I grew up in a very dysfunctional church, one that didn't teach the Bible and had a lot of hypocrisy, and then I ended up in a small parachurch ministry where everybody I knew for the first 3 years I was a Christian. Everyone got up and read the Bible. Everyone memorized 2 or 3 verses a week. Everyone was in a Bible study. Once you got to a certain point, if no one said it, but you just knew someone's helped you, now you need to help someone else. Everyone was in some sort of a mentoring relationship where I knew that Jerry was helping me, and I was helping the two guys on my floor, and I was helping the two guys on my floor. And so we went from about, 4 or 5 people in his living room to 250 college students in personal Bible study on a secular campus. It's all I knew. And then I kind of got into the real world, and I met all these Christians that said they love God. And by the way, I'm not saying that everyone needs to do all those things in that way. Please don't hear that, that's a list of things everyone needs to do. All I'm saying is, all the Christians I knew were really, I didn't know they were like not committed Christians and committed Christians. You know what I'm saying? It's just, those are the only ones I ever met. And the ones before, bad seed growing up. And I remember getting with Prof. Hendricks, and I said, Prof, will you tell me something? You always ask, like, oh, great coupon, wisdom and knowledge. And I got to really know him. He's just a regular guy with lots of wisdom and knowledge. I said, why is there so much hypocrisy? Once I saw it, why is there just so much hypocrisy in the church? And I'll never forget, he said, Chip, I think it might go to something like this. Most people live with 2 sets of priorities. They have one set of priority that they have written down on a list. And if you ask them, they sincerely believe it. God's first, family, children, ministry, work. And they have that on a list. But they have another set, and that's how they actually live. And so we have people whose lives are over here, and their list is over here, and we have this amazing ability to not see that they don't line up. The reason why most of us live with 2 sets of priorities, I want to give you 3 reasons here just to get us going. First, we are deceived. We're deceived. We honestly don't see the discrepancy between what we think and say and how we actually live. And by the way, it's true of all of us. This isn't like the bad people and the good people. This is like, are you really, really deceived, fairly deceived, or just a little deceived? Right? Welcome to the human race. The second reason we have to live with 2 sets of priorities is we are afraid. Though we long sincerely to put first things first, we simply do not believe that God will supply our needs if we give Him the first portion of our time, our lives, and our money. You don't understand. I can't.
Not doing it right, bro.
I'm overwhelmed, and you're asking me to add 15 minutes or a half hour or 45 minutes to be God first. It's kind of like some of you look, are you on drugs, man? You understand I got 3 kids? You understand I got 6 grandkids? And see, if you believe that when you give the first and the best to God, He will begin to clear things and provide in ways. So a lot of us don't put things first and don't live by biblical priorities because it's really an unbelief issue that's rooted in fear. We've got debts, we've got pain, I'm overwhelmed, give the first portion of my money. See, when you do that, it forces a chain reaction of, if you give the first portion, you say, oh, now what are we going to do? You're going to trust God. And if you're not on a budget, you probably have to get on one. You probably have to figure out where your money's actually going. You probably have to make some priority decisions. You probably have to do some crazy stuff like, well, I guess we could cut off that satellite, maybe the cable. You know what? I had no idea we tracked it for 1 month. $395 of eating out. Gosh, this is only half a month. How do we get? When you begin to take those steps, God will show you things. But see, we're afraid. And so, and it feels overwhelming when we're afraid. And so most of us with this whole priority issue, we nod. Yeah, well, I need to address that someday. Monday hits, emails hit, things gotta go here. And most of what we talk about, from some who say, God, I really want to hear, I really want to change, I really want to grow. It'll be almost life as normal 2 weeks from now. The third reason we live with 2 sets of priorities is we have failed. Our sincere and honest efforts to put first things first in the past lasted only a short time and ended with frustration and disillusionment with ourselves. Let's face it, how many have started on a diet and not doing so well? How many have had a little card in our wallet somewhere that says fitness center that you've actually paid for? And they're making a ton on it because let's see, if it's $150 for a year or $200, $300, and you go twice, that's like $75 a visit. They're really doing well. How many of us said, God, I'm willing to start meeting with you, and you did it for 2, 3, 4 mornings, and right? And you're human, I'm human. So in those areas where God has spoken to us in the past, and we're going to put first things first. How about this one? Have you had one of these? My word, you ready? Again, it's sort of swallow hard. The word is discipline. Some translations say self-control. If that makes you feel better, you can write in self-control. But it's discipline. I mean, we love it when we see it in other people. We admire it. It's part of the fruit of the Spirit. Let me give you a definition for discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done. By the way, that's why workaholics, slothful and lazy, even though highly active. And all of us. Have you ever had a, Matthew 18 situation come up? Someone has sinned against you, or there's an issue that you need to confront someone on, right? And you wrote it down. God has showed you, you need to go talk to this person. You need to confront them. And all of a sudden, it just pops up over here. I really need to drop that. And you know what? Maybe I'll do a few errands first. Or, and we fill it in with all kind of discipline. Is not simply, it's doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done. And, in the Proverbs give us the list of, major sins that inhibit our lives. When's the last time you heard like a really great message on slothfulness or laziness? Call me anything, but don't call me lazy, right? When I know what needs to be done, my relationship with God, my relationship with my wife, with one of my kids, in terms of where God shows me something, when I don't do what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, the Bible calls that slothfulness. And so, there's a reason why we don't get some things in line. So let's get sort of on the positive side of this. Discipline is the Spirit-empowered ability given by God's grace that allows us to say no to the quick fix and the easy road and say yes to the harder but better way. That's what it is. It's not trying hard. It's not buttoned down. It's not, I'm going to make myself do this. It's not getting self-righteous and no one else does this, but I get up early, I do this, I do this, I do this, and I'm rigid and legalistic. No. Discipline is Spirit-empowered ability that you get by God's grace that allows you to say no to quick fixes and easy solutions and say yes to facing the hard, difficult things on the front end in order to receive the richer, deeper, better. Titus 2, 11 and 12, you have it in a translation in your notes. And this one is especially good because I like it. It says, for the grace of God that brings salvation, that has appeared to all men, notice it's grace, it teaches us to say no to ungodliness and worldly passions and to live self-controlled, that's our word, upright and godly lives in this present age. A couple quick observations. First of all, grace produces discipline. And by the way, somewhere along the line, we've been teaching grace in a faulty way. We think grace and no effort. The opposite of grace is no effort. That's not it. The opposite of grace is merit. Paul would say, make every effort. It takes focus. It takes energy. But it is the grace of God who both to will and to work in you. It's the grace of God that helps me to say no to worldliness. But then notice the second observation. It teaches us. What does that mean? It means it's a process. It means it doesn't happen overnight. It means like a child learns to ride a bike. I don't know about you, but I didn't see my kids on the bike and go, okay, bang, they got it. They learn. And how do they learn? They do this. Bam. Bam. Well, I don't see their parents going, get up right now. What's wrong with you? They're just going, oh, Emmy, come on. And they take 3 steps and they fall. And the parents are excited about the 2 or 3 steps they take. And they understand they're going to fall. It's a process to learn. Discipline is a byproduct of the Holy Spirit. Listen to what it says in Galatians chapter 5, 22 and 23. It says, but the fruit, singular, of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such no law. So it's the Spirit. It's learning to trust by faith, allowing the Spirit of God to produce discipline in our lives. We're commanded. Just if that doesn't do it for you, we're commanded to live disciplined lives. 2 Peter 1:6 says, and let your knowledge lead to self-control, and self-control to perseverance, and perseverance to godliness. Discipline is the process that is learned over time through training. It is not an experience, it's not automatic, and it's not about trying hard. I'll never forget I had an assistant, a really bright young gal that worked with me for about 8 years, and she had never run a day in her life. She was not athletic at all. And she decided she was going to run a marathon. And I've been working out for years, and I run about 2 miles, and it hurts my knees. Let me chase something, hit something, play something. But running just seems like, how can anyone do it? I admire you to do it. Here she is. She's never done. She goes, oh no, I talked to my friend, and there's a training program we saw from the magazine. I'm going, good luck, sweetie. And then we met this guy who does marathons. And I watched her, and she started walking, and then she jogged so long. And all I can tell you is, about 4 months after she decided to run a marathon, she went into training. And I can remember about 3 months in, and she goes, could I come in a half hour late tomorrow? I said, sure, what you have going? She goes, well, I did 10 miles on so-and-so, and I'm up to my 16-miler, and we got to get up real early. I said, you can do 16 miles before you come to work? And she said, yeah. I'm thinking, you are like an angel from heaven. How do you do this? And what I watched is she ran a marathon without stopping, because everything she needed to run a marathon was in her body. But she had to go into a process of training over time to take that which she already possessed over time to develop the capacity to perform what was in her. Some of you kind of get what I'm saying? All that you need is in you. The Spirit and the power and the grace that raised Christ from the dead is in you. We must go into training. That's why the writer of Hebrews would say, by now, you ought to be mature. You ought to be teaching, but you're drinking milk. You need to be trained by God's Word. And so we're going to talk about cultivating discipline as training. Now, as we get going here, the dynamics of biblical discipline can be summed up in 2 words. Because at this point, I hope you're saying, I want to be trained. I want to be disciplined. I'd love to start time with God, or a workout, or mentoring someone, or getting my finances or my time in order, but I've never been disciplined. If you could show me how to get disciplined, I will do it. I want God to do it. Okay? Say no more. That's what we're going to do. It can be summed up in 2 words. Delayed gratification. It's the key. And I think of all the passages in Scripture that help me really get my arms around biblical discipline, it's Hebrews 12:11. All discipline for the moment seems not to be joyful, but sorrowful. Yet, to those who have been trained by it, afterwards it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness. Do a little Bible study. I would encourage you to memorize that one little verse. All discipline, self-control, same word. Every passage so far, it's the same root word. All discipline, notice for the moment, front end, does not seem to be, it's sorrowful, it's difficult, it's painful. Yet, to those who have, what's our word? Over time, been trained by it. I wish you could see the picture of my assistant's face with the medal she got with her 3 friends 26.2 miles later. Someone who never run a day in her life and accomplished an amazing feat because she went into training. And that's what God has for you in your relationships, your marriages, your singleness, your parenting, your money, and your time. That's what he really has for you. Don't believe that lie. Well, there's other people that are more smart than we are, and there's people that are so much more holy, and there's people that are in such a different category. This is God's plan for every one of his children. I love the quote by the author and psychiatrist, Scott Peck. He says, "Discipline is willfully choosing to embrace the painful and difficult aspects of one's life first, in order, listen to this, to more fully enjoy and successfully achieve those relationships that mean the most." So much, we always focus on the first half. It's sorrowful, it's hard, I gotta get up, we gotta get on a budget, I don't want to do that, I'll never do it, I've failed before. Instead of focusing on, he says it's willfully choosing to confront the pain on the front end. Why? So you can get something way, way better on the back end. Let me give you a high school illustration. You're in 10th grade. You're now learning how to write term papers. You have to write a term paper. And there's a 15-page term paper that is due. You don't know much, but they sent you to the library. It's the old days, so either 3x5 cards, you go and get on the computer. And you've got, like a month to do it. 3 weeks have gone by. It's your last week, and you say to yourself, I got to get on this term paper. I've never written one, and your parents ask, well, how's that term paper? Oh, yeah, pretty good. So I've been thinking about it a little bit, like I do have my topic, that's it. And then they, hey, how's it really going? So now it's by Tuesday or Wednesday, and you did at least peruse where the resources were for about 5 minutes. Well, it's Thursday.
He's so far away from me!
I gotta get this. I gotta start the term paper, and you're at school, and someone goes, hey, are you going to the party tonight? Yeah, I know there's this is an awesome party. Well, okay, I can do it Friday night. So you go to the party, but even during the party, in the back of your mind, it's nagging. 15 pages, that's a long time. A little knot in your stomach, but, a little fun sort of makes that go away. And you get up on Friday and then say, oh, hey, did you hear about, you going to the game tonight? Oh, no, I can't go to the game, I'm writing a term paper. Friday night, you're going to stay home and write a term paper, you nerd, what's with you? And you say to yourself, that is kind of dumb. I got all day Saturday, right? So you go to the game, right? And then you get up on Saturday, man, I'm really tired. I think I'll just get something to eat before I really get going. Well, pretty soon, it is Sunday night. The term paper's due. You start about 8:30, and you work until about 4:30 in the morning. And you've written a very poor 12.5-page paper that's supposed to be 15. And here's the point. You had a lousy paper. You didn't enjoy Thursday night very much. During most of the game, all you could think about when your team wasn't scoring or you weren't laughing was what was undone. You had this gnawing in the back of your mind. On Saturday, your procrastination, you had low-grade guilt that turned to high-grade guilt. And you told yourself, maybe God will really help you while you were in church. You thought about skipping church to write the paper. I got news for you. There's people that live their whole life comfortably. And the stuff that really needs to get done keeps getting pushed out and keeps getting procrastinated. We'll get the finances under control. We'll work on our marriage. We'll really sit down and talk with one of our kids. We'll address this addiction issue. We'll confront that issue with, our in-laws. And hey, we got to set some boundaries and deal with some stuff. And you know what? It's that term paper, and it never gets, and you just stay busy, you stay active, you love God a little bit, you do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that. And all the while, never experience the rich better that God has because of that rare word, delayed gratification. And so I would say the big question for us, how in the world do you develop it? If delayed gratification, if that's the key, how do you develop it in your life? And the method of developing biblical discipline can be summed up in 3 words. Discipline is 2 words, delayed gratification. How you get it, the process of developing it. You say to yourself, what's the training? Where's the magazine that says if I run, jog a little bit, and then the next week I actually try and jog a mile, and then after that I go, how does that happen? You're going to see it right out of Scripture. The 3 key words are advance, decision making. The key to delayed gratification. If you are at the window and the moment where you know you need to delay your gratification, and you have it pre-decided what you're going to do in that moment, about 95% of the time, you will do what you don't want to do. Let me give you a biblical example. And if you have your pen or pencil, pull it out, because I want you to circle, do a little Bible study. You're going to see something very interesting about what the Apostle Paul does. Now remember, this is a godly man. 13 books in the New Testament he writes. So I want you to get a little context. This is a guy who God has greatly, greatly used. But listen to some of his fears in his life. He's writing to the Corinthians in 1 Corinthians 9. He says, "Do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way," that's a manner of living, "that you may win." Circle the word win. "And everyone who competes in the games," he's giving reference to the Olympic Games at the time, "exercises," put a box around, "self-control." That's our word. In what? All things. Application to the Olympic Games and the people of his day. They do it to receive a perishable wreath. In the Olympic Games, they actually had an Olympic village. You had to talk about training. You had to sign up in advance. You had to be approved, and you lived in an Olympic village, and they moderated your food and your schedule for a full year. And you were in what was called training. So that was the commitment long before the games. They do it so at the very end, in front of thousands of people, they would take a wreath and
I will destroy our enemies before they destroy us. Starting with you.
903-651-3524. I need to make an appointment with my doctor, my primary care doctor there, for weight loss management. Please give me a call, 903-651-3524.
There are things worse than death. I will deliver to Japan your netherrealm interests. You will serve as guardian and an emblem of my wrath.
As you were. For 25 years, Special Forces have been Earthrealm, Sword, and Shield. We've pushed back Shao Kahn, defeated Shinnok, yet none of our victories have come without cost. Recently, Commander Jackson Briggs was honorably discharged. His wound was both physical and psychological, left him no longer fit to serve. We honor Jackie's father, and we honor his sacrifice by doing what he would do, tirelessly defend Earthrealm. Sergeant Cage, step forward. Your leadership and warfighting ability have earned you promotion, Commander. But there are no family favors here. By Special Forces tradition, you still have to pass one last test. I need to kick the CO's ass, man. Your ass, man. All right then, Sergeant. Let's see if you can take me.
Fight.
I love my toys.
Boom! Bitch!
Commander Cage, reporting for duty. Congratulations, Commander. Come on, Dad. We really have to go?
Say bye-bye! Bruh.
Starring in yet another Ninja Mind.
Emotional damage!